caught my wife cheating through Chromecast, exposed her in court, ruining her job and reputation. We've been married for 22 years and have one son, 19. Like any marriage, we've had scuffles here and there, but nothing we couldn't get over. In fact, I felt like we had a great marriage, with great communication, mutual attraction, and a satisfying sex life. We both share a love for the outdoors, so we were constantly on the go and staying active, hiking, camping, or just taking long walks. We've always taken care of ourselves and made an effort to stay in pretty good shape, because we talked about growing old together and still being able to do things when we're old and gray. I work as a paramedic, and over the last 9 months my shifts had gotten a bit twisted, mostly night shifts, with lots of extras. She works as a litigation consultant, and had been working from home for a little less than a year. When my wife made the transition to work from home, it wasn't her idea. Her firm moved toward liquid talent, and she told me everyone started working remotely. I remember her making a big stink about it, saying she wasn't going to be able to see her clients and colleagues face to face, and that would make building relationships and trust harder. She even debated leaving her work. Trust, how ironic. Remember this for later. Anyway, my night shifts made things a bit distant between us, since our schedules didn't really overlap anymore. Although she was home working, I'd be sleeping. When I was getting ready to go to work, she seemed to be settling in for the night and getting ready for bed. But when we were both off at the same time or our schedules matched up, we seemed to be just fine. We were close. We played around. We had fun with each other. There was nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that tipped me off that something was going on behind my back. Our marriage felt solid. She'd talk to me about her week. She'd text me during the day while I was sleeping, telling me that she missed me or saw something funny and thought of me. She made me meals I'd eat when I woke up, and she packed me lunch. The Chromecast incident. Recently, my brother came over to help me install a Chromecast I got through a contest at work. It happened to be one of my rare random days off, and my brother was in town from his shift work. I hadn't seen him in a while, so I figured I'd ask him for some help with it. We were having fun, taking turns connecting our phones to the TV, watching videos, listening to music, just messing around. My wife came out from her office after she was done with work and asked what we were doing. I told her he was helping connect my phone to the TV for our new Chromecast. I asked if she wanted my brother to help her download the app on her phone too, so she could use it. She hesitated at first, looked at the TV, then looked back at me. I said, "It's super simple. You just have to download an app, takes like 2 seconds. Finally, she caved, but it looked like she was texting someone or going through her phone right before she passed it to my brother. At the time, I didn't think anything of it. My brother started going through the process of connecting her phone and getting it recognized. She asked how long it would take. My brother said something like, "Maybe 2 minutes. And she was like, "Okay, I'm just going to go to the washroom real quick." Before she walked away, she turned back and said, "You're just downloading the app, right?" And he said, "Yeah." She left for the washroom. My brother and I were having drinks on the couch, not really paying attention, while he was doing the easy setup steps. The reveal. Not even 10 seconds later, he connected her phone to the screen. As a joke, he opened up her messages, and there was a contact saved as just a heart emoji. He looked at me and started laughing, thinking he was about to find something juicy between me and my wife. I was like, viewer discretion advised. And he started scrolling through the thread, seeing some pretty raunchy things being said back and forth. He called me cheeky, a dirty dog, and said he didn't know I had it in me. At first, I thought this was a message thread between the two of us, my wife and me. After all, it wasn't beyond us to exchange some spicy texts while she was getting ready for bed and I was just starting my shift. But then, as I looked closer at the thread, I realized this wasn't between me and my wife. At one point, she started calling this guy Craig. At another, there were some nudes exchanged, and let's just say that the male extremity definitely wasn't mine. My brother saw my reaction, stopped laughing, and started scrolling slowly this time, trying to read whatever he could. And then he realized the same thing. My stomach dropped. The text basically read something about a certain body part of Craig's being in my wife's mouth. My brother immediately got up, handed me her phone, mumbled that he had to go, and quickly left. I didn't blame him. I got up, started video recording what I was seeing on the screen, and as I heard the toilet flush, I exited the messages, dropped the phone on the couch, and ran out onto the porch to make it look like I had been sitting out there the whole time. About 5 minutes later, she came outside and asked how long I'd been there. I told her my brother and I had gone to sit on the porch as soon as she left the living room. She looked relieved, played it off like nothing happened, and sat down next to me. I got up, walked inside to pretend to grab another beer, and saw that she had already disconnected her phone from the TV. Now it was just a black screen. This was eating me alive. I had to go on a quick run after that, just to wrap my head around what I saw and blow off some steam. I was also trying to think of ways I could get back on her phone to send those messages to myself, to see just how far this really went. For some reason, I just had to see more. Later that night, I came up with some BS excuse. I told her I had to re-download the app on her phone because something went wrong with the Chromecast. She's not all that tech-savvy. She usually makes me do anything tech-related around the house. Whether it's the internet, the TV, our phones, I'm the one fixing it. She even makes me download coupon apps and those little whirly deals. So I knew if I said, I need to download something, she'd likely believe me and hand me her phone. That night, while pretending to screw around with the TV, she went in for her bath. Just as she got in, I came in and said, I've got to re-download this app on your phone. I accidentally unplugged something and it just messed up everything. She looked at me, a bit worried, and said, I don't really need to be connected to it though. I said, it'll take 2 minutes. Super easy. Then you just have it on your phone and we don't have to worry about it later. She said, I'll get out of the bath and help. I said, No, you've had a long day. Just sit back and relax. I'll be 2 seconds. She reluctantly handed me her phone, looking concerned, and told me to be careful, not to go through anything else because she had some confidential client information on there. I raised an eyebrow and said, Why are you leaving client conversations on your personal phone when you have something set up on your computer for that? She told me the system on her laptop was down for a bit, so she had to use her cell. Yeah. Whatever. I told her. No worries. I'm just downloading the app and reconnecting it. Then she said, Maybe you should call your brother back? You think you can handle it yourself? She said it in a way that rubbed me the wrong way, like she was taking a dig at me, implying I wasn't capable. Weak. Useless. I told her, If I have any problems, I'll call him. And I walked out of the bathroom. We've never been ones to snoop on each other's phones. Up until this moment, I felt like I never had to. We've always known the passwords to each other's phones. But I've never once checked in on her. I trusted her implicitly. Yeah, I guess since she started working from home, she's been a bit more protective of her phone. I chalked that up to work. Or maybe she was just decompressing, playing games or scrolling mindlessly. Turns out, she was decompressing with someone else. With someone else in her mouth, right under my nose. Right as I was sleeping during the day or working my butt off for us in the wee hours of the morning, trying to bring junkies back to life downtown, and all the while, my wife was screwing around with another man. I felt like an absolute schmuck. I honestly, 100%, had no idea anything was going on. I feel like a fool for not seeing it, for letting it happen. I guess I wanted to believe we were solid. But now that I knew what I was looking for, I had to work fast. I managed to scroll far back enough to see that communication between my wife and Craig started last May, which meant this had been going on for over a year. I screen recorded what I could so I could go back and pause, read, document. I emailed it to myself, then deleted it from her photos, videos, and sent Box to cover my tracks. Meanwhile, she's yelling at me from the bathroom, asking if everything's okay, because I'd hit the 5-minute mark by then. I tried to play it cool, told her I was just having a problem with my phone. She asked me to bring her phone back. So I did. She asked again if everything was fine. I smiled and said, "Yeah, I figured it out," and walked back into the living room like nothing happened. Then I sat down and went through the video I sent myself, reading months' worth of filth. Our son doesn't live with us anymore. He's 19, lives with his buddies in a condo downtown. So I thought my wife was alone in the evenings while I was working. Nope. Craig would come over. And they'd have their way with each other, in my house, in my bed, while I was at work. Worse? He even snuck over while I was asleep in bed during the day. She'd get up, quietly let him in, and you get the picture. That was rough to read. I found Craig's last name through his Instagram. My wife follows him there. They send each other sexy memes, lingerie ads, and other stuff. Turns out Craig's an attorney for a firm my wife consults for. He started working there in March of last year. Looked like a younger guy. Late 30s, maybe early 40s. I went back to the screen recording and read it slowly. She broke the news to Craig that she'd be working from home around the same time she told me, and she was upset about not being able to see him during the week. That was early in their little relationship. But it progressed quickly. He suggested grabbing drinks so they could catch up. Not long after that, when I started working nights and extra shifts, she told him he could start coming over for lunch, because her husband, aka me, would be sleeping. She said they just have to be quiet. I felt sick to my stomach reading this. It's been a few days since D-Day, and I'm trying to think through my next move. I just needed to write this out and see if anyone has any advice. I don't want to get screwed on this. My wife works for law firms, knows her crap, and knows people who could really take everything from me. I have to be smart here. Careful. Strategic. This whole thing has me messed up beyond belief. And yeah, I get it. Looks like the Chromecast wasn't the only thing getting connected in our house. My wife really took liquid talent to a whole new level, didn't she? At least now I know why her texting got so enthusiastic during my night shifts. On the bright side, she did make sure to pack me lunch, just not the kind I was expecting. Maybe next time, my contest prize should come with a disclaimer about uncovering family secrets, instead of just streaming Netflix. Update 1, D-Day +7. I met with a lawyer. Before I get into that, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who reached out, gave advice, and even dropped some tough love. I needed all of it. So yeah, I called my brother and told him the rest of what I found. I found a great lawyer, and he's been a really solid support system through all of this. My brother reminded me of a husband and wife we used to be friends with, friends we made through my soon-to-be ex-wife's work. They run their own firm. My ex used to consult for them a few years back. We were close enough that they'd come over for dinner now and then. We went out a couple of times, maybe a Christmas party or two. But we stopped hearing from them not long after her contract ended with their firm, which was about a year ago. My brother encouraged me to reach out to them. He said, "You just need to be honest. If she was good enough to work for them, they're good enough to help you now." He was right. So I reached out to the husband and told him exactly what was happening, but I asked him to keep it between the two of us, because I wasn't sure what kind of relationship he and his wife still had with my soon-to-be ex. If they were close, I didn't want to risk anything getting back to her. He got back to me right away, and basically laid out everything I needed to do. He told me to send him the screen recording of the text thread between my wife and Craig. He told me to send him copies of financial documents, account statements, and anything else I could gather. He also told me to open separate accounts and start depositing my pay there, and to slowly pull funds from our joint accounts, just small amounts here and there, so it wouldn't raise suspicion. Since our son is 19 and living on his own, I don't have to worry about custody or anything like that. Once the papers are served, we'll need to figure out living arrangements, who's going where, and who gets to stay. I told him I wanted to keep the house. He said that was fair, just not to discuss divorce details or badmouth her. He said keep it clean, keep it factual. I haven't named names publicly, aside from Craig, and my ex doesn't even know what Reddit is, as far as I know. But yeah, the divorce papers are being drawn up. My wife makes significantly more money than I do. He said I may actually be entitled to alimony or spousal support. We have a few investments, but thankfully, those were made separately, so she can't touch mine, and I'm not entitled to hers. We don't have any debts either. She paid off her student loans a long time ago, and I never had any. The biggest asset we share is the house, and I love that house. We've lived in it for 12 years, and I don't want to lose it if I don't have to. But I'm also realistic. I know I can't afford it on my own unless I'm granted enough support or unless she agrees to a buyout. Your wife's secret rendezvous turned your home into a battleground for asset separation instead of Netflix binging. At least you're taking advice from the husband-wife lawyer duo, pros at balancing dinner parties with legal disputes. Who would have guessed those Christmas parties and dinner gatherings would serve as the foundation for a divorce negotiation strategy? It's like your own version of Law and Order, Domestic Edition. And hey, with no debt and separate investments, it sounds like you've got a decent hand in this poker game of asset division. Hang in there during the house negotiations, OP. That place is the centerpiece of your 12-year saga. Maybe it'll be the one thing that doesn't get Chromecasted out of your life. Update 2, D-Day plus 12. The papers were served. I told her I wasn't leaving the house, and that she had to go. She told me, "This is basically my office." I said, "Then go find somewhere else to work. You weren't working half the time anyway. You were inviting Craig over and ing him while your own husband lay in bed a few feet away." She tried to threaten me, told me I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But the threats were empty. Because she knew I wasn't bluffing. She knew exactly who my lawyer was. And for the first time since this all began, I saw fear in her eyes. I told her that she had to break the news to our son. I told her that she had to tell him everything, and I said he had to hear it from her, or else I'd show him the thread of messages between her and Craig. He completely sided with me. My ex tried to apologize to him, but he didn't seem to have it. He actually encouraged her to move out of the house to give Dad some space. After that, she packed up and moved out. My son has also been incredible through all of this. He's checking in on me almost every day, and we've been seeing a lot more of each other, which has been nice. Here's where things get a little juicy. What I didn't know when I contacted my attorney was that he was one of the best family law attorneys in the country. But my wife apparently knew, because she tried to contact me, apologize, and take back everything. To which I said it was too late for any of that. What was really interesting was when she said that she and Craig would pay me to be silent because it would ruin their careers. She said that she really messed up and didn't know how to fix things, but desperately wanted to fix things with me. My lawyer actually let me in on something. I guess while my ex was working for him, she started getting cozy with a partner at the firm and leaking information. They found out, and they weren't going to have that. So, they gracefully dissolved the relationship and then terminated her contract. I guess the consulting firm that my ex worked for caught wind of this and wasn't okay with it either. Because they know their way around the legal system. I mean, it's their job. It took them a while to give her a slap on the wrist, but once they did, her punishment was, drumroll please, having her work from home. Basically house arrest. So everything she's been telling me has been a lie. Her firm never went to Liquid Talent, and her contract never ended naturally with my attorney. They terminated it. And it all makes sense now, why we stopped hearing from them and seeing them out of nowhere. I just thought it might have been awkward after the contract ended, but little did I know, it was awkward for an entirely different reason. Looks like your house went from a love nest to a legal battlefield faster than you can say. Objection. Your ex-wife trying to claim your house was her office? Classic move. Did she also try to bill you for her services rendered to Craig? At least your son siding with you, and your ex's attempt to buy your silence with Craig? That's some serious hush money. Though I guess it's hard to put a price on not torpedoing your career with scandalous messages. Turns out, she wasn't just working from home, she was serving a sentence for office espionage. Update 3, well, we settled. She ended up giving me a large lump sum of money instead of months of alimony, which I used to buy out what was left on the house, and then some. So the house is now officially mine, thank goodness. She tried really desperately to get back with me until the very end. So much so that I had to tell my attorney, and then communication was moved to only between attorneys. It just got too weird, and I wasn't having it. I wasn't interested in getting back together or trying to make things work, because of what was going down with Craig. She ended up losing that contract with that firm too, and now she's under investigation. Rumor is that she's been aiding attorneys in breaching attorney-client privilege. Some colleagues or clients started noticing irregularities in information handling, discrepancies in case details, or unusual access to confidential information. There were recorded conversations, messages, and emails that were shared without proper authorization. I guess in layman's terms, that means she knew things she shouldn't have, and then told that to attorneys for the benefit of their case. So now a formal investigation was launched with the State Bar Association for breaching attorney-client privilege and other violations. But that's not the best part. This all traveled within the legal community, which led to rumors about different practices involving unethical actions. It's just a giant effing mess. But I'm laughing. She did it to herself. I'm out of there. I have my house and the best son a father could ever ask for. Buying out the house and then some, that's like winning the lottery. But instead of champagne showers, it's house keys. And I'm finally free. Celebrations. And now she's under investigation for breaching attorney-client privilege. Here's to being out of the mess and having a house to call your own, with your awesome son by your side. Maybe your next contest prize will be a drama-free vacation, where the only legal drama involves beach permits. What do you make of this? And thank you for joining us today. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.